We've got Isabelle Ranger. She's here from Pemberton. She drove all the way down from Pemberton tonight to speak here. She founded the Namasthe Tea Company. And I got to know Isabelle last summer, but she's actually been following me on Twitter, and we've been tweeting a lot for a long time. And when I was up in Whistler, I had a session with her and learned a lot about her tea, and a lot about her and her husband and her family, and we're wonderful people. And I think she's very passionate, and it's great to see her here speaking tonight. I think we're going to learn a lot about tea and herbalism and everything else. So please join me in welcoming Isabelle Ranger.
Good evening. Thanks, Richard, for inviting me to speak here this evening. That's excellent. This kind of reminds me a little bit of dropping in on a vert ramp skateboarding. It's a little crazy, scary, and exciting at the same time. So it's my first public speaking for any events here, and it's excellent. I'm really excited to share with you guys a little bit more about Namasthe Tea. I'm Isabelle Ranger, and I founded Namasthe Tea Company in 2006. And I started the company basically because I found that there was a bit of a lack of really amazing teas where we lived up in Whistler. Actually, I'm from Whistler, and I farm in Pemberton. So what we do is we grow herbs in Pemberton, and we blend our own teas. We import greens, blacks, whites, and we craft it all up, and we do tea pouches that we sell to hotels and restaurants and grocery stores like Whole Foods. And so we got started, basically, it all started kind of with this wonderful book. It's a herbal book that I got when I was 18, and it was when I just moved to Whistler, and it was basically, it just called out to me, and I was like, what is this? So I was living up there, and it's very lush, and there's beautiful plants, and I just thought, what are all these plants? What are they good for, and how can you use them? So I picked this book up, and I was looking at it, and it was so obscure, and I thought, bizarre, like look at all these different remedies and ways to use them. Of course, the simplest way is tea. What else can you do that's simple and cheap? And the best way to use medicines is just hot water, boil it, stick some leaves in there, and there you go. So my tea adventures began more with, sorry about the mic, I'm not used to the mic, began more with herbal medicines, and it was basically how can we use what's around here in BC, pop it in hot water, create it into wonderful teas that help people for health and wellness, and then share that with people. So this is kind of how it all started, and this was in 2000 is when I studied some herbal medicine with some Rowan Hamilton in Vancouver. He teaches at the Naturopathic Institute, and also shamanic ways with more of the native type of healing and all that stuff. And so I blended teas, and basically what my job was is to make it palatable, because most herbs are bitter and they taste pretty bad. So there's a lot of things that were, Chinese medicine, you take and make a yuck face. So my job was just to, if I'm making a remedy and people leave it in their cupboard, my job's basically useless. So I have to make this taste good. So I started with playing around with things, and I discovered a lot of interesting things about the tea world, more so in the industry aspect of it, which there's a lot of natural flavor. So how do you make a tea that should be blueberry with blueberries? Well, actually, if you stick dried blueberries in a tea, it doesn't really taste the way you would expect, the way most of the tea companies out there make it. It tastes a little bit like a blueberry, but it's not so much really the same ways you get. So if you look at most boxes of tea, you'll see natural flavors pretty much, sometimes way up above, sometimes in the middle, sometimes down below. So I thought, we got to do something about this. This is totally, if you can't make it out of your ingredients in your backyard, why are we making this? And why is it made by a chemist? And why does it have to come in a bottle that looks like a cleaner? So these were all kind of things that I thought were, well, we need to look at this, and how can we make something better and share with people? So in 2006, after doing my more of a community service, I gotta say it was never really a business, but I basically would make teas for people. And what I would do is listen to whatever issues people come up with for health issues, and kind of assess everything from emotional, physical, and then I would make a tea for that person for a 2-week period, specifically, uniquely just for them at that point in time. Needless to say, it wasn't really a money-making venture, because I could only make maybe 5 or 6 teas in a day, but it was something that really helped a lot of people and shared a lot with people. So from the beginnings is more so something from the heart, where I shared a lot with people about herbs, and I tell them, you can go get it, it's free, it's just out there. You don't have to It's not complicated. Most of the herbs you need are actually very simple. They're dandelion, they're burdock, they grow in the hedgerows. Nobody wants them, so normally I would say, can I come and pick it at your farm? And be like, yes, please do. So a lot of these things are just your nettles. Everything that's the usual suspects of teas is what I would blend into teas and make them fun, or make them useful, make them where it has an effect. So started that, and of course with time it evolved, and when we got into Namasthe, it was more of a thing where we thought, well, restaurants, hotels, everywhere, why are we just drinking kind of powdered tea? Can we do something better? Can we do loose leaf? And of course the answer was yes. So we started thinking, well, how can we do this into something that we can actually incorporate what's from BC, from our backyards, with tea or with herbs, and also grow it, because one of my big passions is growing. And so most of the summer, I usually just spend my time on my hands and knees just weeding. And most of the weeding that we do, we use. So we put that into one of our wonderful blends that Richard met me with, root beer. So burdock and dandelion, we just, instead of just keeping it as, here you go, you're weeding it, hucking it, use it. So we just use it, so we dry the burdock, the dandelion, we stick with yerba mate, put a little bit of raw cacao, put some spices in there, and there you go, root beer. So we've made that into TeaCraft soda, so we just do sodas. We convert things into all kinds of stuff and play. So basically most of my days I spend playing around with tea. Most of the time it's on my own, it's a family business, so it's me and my father and my partner. So unfortunately I'm the boss, and that's kind of annoying, I guess, for my father, but he's also the accountant, which is wonderful because I can't do a spreadsheet. And what's great about that is we share our passion for it, which is really my passion, but also teaching them how to, for Cedric, for example, my partner, he's the one that does production. So at first it was me teaching him about machinery and doing all these things, and then he got into that, and now it's his own thing, so he's taken off of it. So this is all these wonderful things that got me into tea. And of course, one of my big changing was my book, but also this little thing here, which was, you wouldn't expect most of the time, but actually I spent a big part of my life skateboarding. And skateboarding was actually something that was totally surprising, but it got me to meet my first partner who I had a child with. It also got me traveling around the world because he was a professional skateboarder. So basically we traveled around, ate a lot of good food everywhere from San Francisco, LA, to anywhere in Europe. We traveled out to Europe with our children, with our daughter. And we would scout around for vegetarian, vegan restaurants all over the place. And so I got a lot of exposure to foods all around, from here to California, San Diego, all in Europe. And of course, at the time, it was hard to find a vegetarian restaurant or a vegan restaurant in Europe. So we scouted around everywhere from Paris to Prague or anything like that. So a big part of my passion for things is skateboarding, because skateboarding to me is a bit zen. It teaches me how to face things, or how to commit 100%. And I think business is a lot like that, where you have to commit and have faith that you're gonna land it. You have to commit 100%, and you also have to be able to pick yourself up if you fall, which that's one of these things that happens a lot. So it's one of these life changers that really did something for me, because it really taught me how to incorporate all those facets that, to me, skateboarding is very zen. Most people think it's a vandal type of thing, but it's actually very fun, and it pushes me and challenges me in all sorts of ways, the same as doing Namasthe does, because running a business and doing it in grocery stores is not easy when you're just really heart-based, when you do things by intuition or you're creative. So for us, it's always been a big challenge, but it's been very fun. And I think the culmination point was really when we first started. We used to use a co-packer, and at some point we decided to go gung-ho, leap of faith, and we wanted to do our own self-sufficient packing. And so on 2009, December 24th, I got my biggest gift package I ever received ever in my life. It was airmail from Asia. It was this huge 850 kilo machine to do tea packing, and since then we've been doing it in Whistler and really sharing that passion of doing everything from scratch, everything in-house, all the blending, everything, which is quite rare in the world of tea. Majority of tea things are made from one-stop shop places where you basically they do it all for you and people repackage. So for us, we're kind of the black sheep in the tea world. We do everything the different way, totally our way, differently, and original. So that's kind of the story of how skateboarding brought me to food, that brought me to tea, and all these wonderful things. And thank you so much, Richard.